Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Giant Carcass. A sea monster the size of a double-decker bus was discovered washed up on the coast of England. The enormous corpse measured a whopping 33 feet long, stranded on the rocky shore of North Devon. It was first spotted by residents on the jagged rocks at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The residents reported the strange creature to the local whale and dolphin hotline, not having any idea what the mysterious beast was. As it turned out, the carcass actually belonged to a dead fin whale, the second largest mammal living on the planet. And if you thought this corpse was big, it's nothing compared to a fully grown adult. Fin whales can grow to be over 88 feet long and weigh as much as 130 tons. Sadly, we don't know what happened to this monster of the deep. Its skin was already extremely decomposed, suggesting it had already been deceased for quite some time. It was actually kind of sad to see it on the rocks and no longer alive. And since fin whales are technically an endangered species, that just makes it all the more tragic. Stephen Marsh of the British Divers Marine Life Rescue told news reporters that nobody knows where it came from. It apparently could have washed up from anywhere, as it probably died out at sea and then was gradually pushed toward the shore. As for the cause of death, nobody knows. The huge whale could have died from old age, been struck by a vessel, tangled in a fishing net, or could have died from some unknown disease. Whatever caused the death, this unusual creature certainly gave the locals quite a cause for concern. Number 9. Death Star Monster. Scientists in Antarctica have discovered a terrifying monster of the deep that they've nicknamed the Death Star. This bizarre freak of nature has 50 limbs and is quite frankly terrifying. The scientists stumbled upon this strange life form hidden beneath the ice shelves of Antarctica. James Smith from the British Antarctic Survey, along with his team members, drilled into nearly 3,000 feet of ice to below the Filchner-Ronne ice shelf. They then dropped a camera through the hole to see what they could find on the seabed. Much to their surprise, they found 16 marine sponges and 22 unidentified creatures. The Death Star was among the unidentified, at least at first. The animal, like I already said, has 50 arms. Except what I failed to mention is that each arm is covered with small pincers that snap shut automatically when anything moves past them. It's like an automated hunting system. If something small gets close, the pincer will grab it so that the blob-like monster can swiftly devour it. It basically has 50 fishing rod arms. And while the scientists at first didn't know what the creature was, they soon identified it as an Antarctic sun starfish. The ancient creature is an invertebrate, one that has dominated the ocean floor for over 250 million years in one form or another. The scientists said that looking at the animals beneath the ice sheet was like traveling back in time. Number 8. The Great and Terrible Kraken. Professor Mark McMenamin, a man who happens to be a paleontologist at the Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts, claims to have discovered proof that the mythical Kraken really did exist, or at least some kind of octopus-like sea monster the size of a bus. You may have heard tales of the mythical Kraken, the tentacled sea beast that was rumored to have destroyed entire ships. People have since been telling stories of the Kraken since the 12th century in Norway. Mark claims that by inspecting the wounds found on the fossil of an ancient ichthyosaur, he has confirmed the Kraken's existence. The fossil of the prehistoric beast was found with sucker markings on its bones, suggesting it had been drowned and that it had its neck snapped by the biggest octopus that has yet to be proven existed. This would have happened sometime between 250 and 90 million years before today. He made this discovery while looking at the remains of 9 ichthyosaurs excavated from the Berlin Ichthyosaur State Park in Nevada. Mark found evidence that the creatures, kind of like whale-crocodile hybrids, had been carried away from where they were killed. He believes that whatever this creature was that strangled and drowned the huge reptiles had a lair deep underwater. But unfortunately, this is all just theory right now. Mark hasn't actually been able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that a monstrous kraken really did prowl the ocean millions of years ago, but perhaps it wasn't a giant squid at all, but an enormous octopus. Number 7. Washed up monster in San Diego. An extremely rare beast of the deep sea has washed up on a beach in San Diego, California. The creature was identified as a Pacific football fish. a type of anglerfish that you might remember from the movie Finding Nemo. It's the terrifying creature that has a bioluminescent light fixed to the top of its head, which it uses as a lure for hunting. The creature was first discovered by a local San Diego man as he walked along Black's Beach. It was almost sunset and he was enjoying the quiet atmosphere when he found a literal nightmare of a creature. Of course, it was dead, and so it couldn't sink its huge teeth into him. But according to the man named Jay Byler, he had never before seen an organism quite as fearsome as this one. He actually thought it was a jellyfish at first, until he realized it had a mouth filled with teeth that looked to be stained with blood. It was only about a foot long, but still scary enough. Jay snapped a couple of photographs and sent the pictures to NBC7 San Diego. From there, the story went viral. Ben Frabel, an expert on marine vertebrates, came forward to identify the anglerfish as one of the bigger species. Ben says it's only been spotted a few times in California and lives primarily in the deepest parts of the Pacific Ocean. And now for number 6. But first, it's shout-out time! Want to give a big thank you to Tammy Moore and Lone Wolf Nergiganti for supporting this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and if you are new here, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 6. An extinct monster shark. There is nothing quite as terrifying as the Megalodon, the extinct monster shark that lived between 23 million and 2 million years ago. But what you might not know about this fierce predator is that it left a lot of its teeth behind. Several teeth from a dead Megalodon were just found in the Atacama Desert of Chile. Experts say that even though treasure hunters have been pillaging the area in search of these valuable teeth, the desert still has the largest collection of Megalodon remains in the world, specifically leftover chompers. And these are some big teeth I'm talking about. The word Megalodon literally translates to big teeth. It was the biggest shark that ever swam through the waters of the world's oceans. The super predator could grow anywhere from 52 to 66 feet long. That's according to Pablo Quilodran with Atacama Paleontology and Natural History Research and Advancement Corps. The majority of giant shark teeth found in the South American desert are about 8 million years old. As for how big the teeth are, many can be upwards of 7 inches long. And one more thing, Megalodons weren't the only sea monsters prowling the ocean millions of years ago when the desert was underwater. Researchers have found at least 25 different shark species that lived here, all of which were sea monsters in their own way. Number 5. Deep Sea Cannibal. San Diego seems to be a favorite spot for bizarre monsters from the deep ocean. Literally the week after the terrifying Pacific football fish washed up on the shore, another curious specimen also washed up in San Diego. This time it happened near the Scripps Institution of Oceanography, near La Jolla Shores. The sea monster was identified as a cannibalistic lancetfish, and it was actually alive. It's true that the lancetfish isn't quite as rare as the anglerfish, but it is just as interesting. According to Dr. Elin Portner, who has been studying the contents of lancetfish stomachs, they do indeed enjoy eating members of their own species. The scientists found that once a lancetfish reaches about 3 feet in length, they begin hunting other lancetfish. The big mystery is that nobody seems to know why they wait so long before turning into cannibals. And another curious thing, the lancetfish is a simultaneous hermaphrodite. This means it's both male and female at the same time, possessing both reproductive organs. They can reproduce by themselves instead of relying on a partner. In theory, this monster could literally impregnate itself and then give birth to its own dinner. Yikes. Have you ever heard of an animal that is capable of reproducing alone? Pretty strange sea monster, huh? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 4. 20th century sea serpent. A series of bizarre sea serpent sightings were made by fishermen back in the 1920s and 30s off the coast of East Yorkshire, England. Particularly, the sightings were made in the North Sea and Humber, with trawlermen reporting an enormous and still unidentified creature lurking in the water. It's been 100 years since the strange sightings, and still nobody knows what it was all these fishermen were seeing. And to make matters worse, the descriptions of the beast vary intensely. The only thing all descriptions had in common was that the creature was enormous. The first sighting came back in August of 1922, when a steam trawler encountered something strange just 35 miles from the coast. The crew actually thought they saw sails from a pair of fishing boats, but as they got closer, they realized the sails were dorsal fins. And there wasn't just one creature, there were two of them. They estimated these monsters to be about 50 feet in length. The crew also testified that they definitely were not whales or sharks, which they were used to seeing. Around this same time, a creature described as a giant octopus or squid was found washed up on the beach very near to where the two monsters were sighted. The creature was only about 6 feet, but it was a monstrous sight to the locals who had never seen something so terrifying before. Then in July of 1929, a couple walking along the seafront saw what they described as a serpent slithering through the water at unbelievable speed. They claimed it definitely wasn't a porpoise, but something else entirely. These sightings continued on until the 1940s when they seemingly stopped, and to this day, we don't know if it was just hysteria or if there really was a crew of sea monsters terrorizing the shorelines for nearly 2 decades. Number 3. Shipwreck Monster. Explorers were left in absolute shock after they discovered a giant and mysterious sea creature while investigating a shipwreck. The shipwreck was at a depth of 2,800 feet. Naturally, the explorers weren't expecting some kind of sea monster to swim directly in front of them. The explorers were also scientists, part of a program with OceanX to conduct an ecosystem survey at the bottom of the northern Red Sea in a previously unexplored area. The shipwreck appeared out of the murk totally by chance. The scientists launched a remotely operated vehicle to check out the unexpected wreckage, not wanting to pass up the potential for a new archaeological discovery. But according to Maddie Rodriguez, that was when the unthinkable happened. In her own words, she said she will never forget what happened next for as long as I live. From out of nowhere, a huge sea creature came into view, looked directly at the ROV, and then curled its body around the broken bow of the shipwreck. It was like something out of an underwater horror movie. At first, the researchers thought they were dealing with a giant squid. But this is the Red Sea, not the bottom of the Mariana Trench. They weren't actually able to confirm the identity of the monster until a year later, with help from the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. The creature was a purple-back flying squid in giant form. Typically, these creatures are only about 2 feet long, but this one was nearly triple that. A very real sea monster. Number 2. The Cambrian Roomba. The Titanosaurus was one of the largest ocean predators of the Cambrian period, which lasted from 543 to 490 million years ago. While not around anymore, it is a sea monster of note just for how terrifying it was almost 500 million years ago. The creature had a massive shield for a head, had claws that it used to rake through sand, and its circular mouth was filled with teeth. Scientists say it swept across the bottom of the ocean, slurping up prey like a Roomba, the robotic vacuum cleaner. So how big was this prehistoric behemoth? A whopping 2 feet long. That may not sound very big, but it's the largest seafloor predator that we know about from this period of time. Jean-Bernard Caron from the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, the person involved with the creature's recent discovery, called it absolutely mind-boggling. All other life forms at the time were pipsqueaks compared to the Titanosaurus. This is one of the reasons it succeeded as a predatory vacuum. Because it was so much bigger than all the other critters, it could pretty much eat whatever it wanted by just opening its mouth, almost like a modern blue whale and the tiny krill it eats. Number 1. Drone footage of the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster has just been sighted, allegedly, by a British outdoorsman paddling through Loch Ness in Scotland. This time the sighting was done totally by accident. The outdoorsman, Richard Mavor, was using his drone to capture some footage of a charity canoe trip when the monster showed up in the video. According to Richard himself, the last thing he wanted to do when he went to the lake that day was find the Loch Ness Monster. He's called himself something of a skeptic, though he's also admitted there is something strange in his footage. It's not a clear picture of the Loch Ness Monster. Whatever it was had been under the surface when the drone did a flyover. It looks more like an enormous snake than anything. While it appears as though it could be some kind of large sea snake, to some it might look like a prehistoric reptile with flippers. In any case, whatever the thing was, it was lurking a few feet from the water's edge, twice the size of the canoes. It never emerged, so there was no way to see its whole body. But for 2021, this was by far the best sighting of Nessie yet. Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster? Let me know your theories in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Remember to hit that subscribe button and come back soon for more amazing videos. See you later. Bye.